My reading goal for 2025 is 50 books, and I am 14 books behind. I don't think that we're going to reach our goal this year. That's so fine, no worries, but I would like to get a little bit closer than I am right now. Let's play catch up on this reading goal and get in the holiday spirit while doing it. I picked out my first book, but before we talk about that, I would like to thank Book of the Month for sponsoring this video. I'm sure most of you guys have heard of Book of the Month at this point, but in case you haven't, they are a monthly subscription service and they vet out the best books from new authors you've never heard of or from authors you already know and love. The first book I got this month is Best Offer Wins by Marissa Cashino. Our protagonist in this book is named Margot, and she has been house hunting for 18 months and she has lost 11 bidding wars. She gets a tip about the perfect house in the perfect neighborhood, and it's slated to go up for sale in 1 month. She becomes obsessed with this house before it's publicly listed. She engages in some harmless stalking, okay, maybe a little bit of trespassing here and there. There's no boundary she won't cross to get her dream house. I picked this one because it sounds pretty funny, and I also think Margot goes a little bit too far, and I like a book where I end up rooting for the villain. The second book I picked this month is Before I Forget by Tori Henwood Hone. This book is about Cricket. She's 26. She's feeling very stuck in life. She had a tragedy happen to her about a decade ago, and she's kind of been in a funk ever since. She just found out that her dad has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, so she has a new tragedy that is actively happening, and instead of putting him in a memory care facility, she decides to move home and be his caretaker. She hopes that in taking care of him, she'll be able to repair their relationship and also get out of her funk. And this is the part that made me pick this book, okay? She finds out that as her father loses his memory, he becomes more and more capable of predicting the future. Cricket finds out that in believing her father's prophecy, she has to face the most painful parts of her history. She realizes that the path forward often starts by going back. Doesn't that sound so good? Like, I know it's gonna make me cry. This little blue box is my favorite thing to get in the mail. This is also a great gift for readers. You can give a physical gift card, a print at home card, or an email. With the instant delivery options, this is a great last minute gift idea. Each gift purchased through the holidays also comes with a free hat for the gift recipient. I love that if a month's selection doesn't catch my eye, I can skip that month free of charge. If you want to try Book of the Month out for yourself or give it to someone as a gift, now really is the best time. For a limited time, you can get your first book for just $5 and a free hat of your choice when you use the code HOLLY at checkout. Just head to bookofthemonth.com and grow your TBR with me. And thanks again to Book of the Month for sponsoring this video. The first book I picked to read is going to be on my Kindle. It's Evenings and Weekends by Oisin McKenna. After I made that book rec video a couple of weeks ago, I was really wanting to read some Irish lit fic. This takes place in London in 2019, and there's a heat wave happening in the city. Maggie is one of our characters. She's pregnant and she's getting ready to move back to her hometown with her boyfriend, who's named Ed. Ed is coasting through life and is ready for a new start with Maggie and their baby, but he has a secret past of hooking up with strange men in bathrooms, and he also has a secret past with Maggie's best friend, who's named Phil. T. Okay, we're already getting complicated. Then we have Phil, who had something with Ed before, doesn't like his office job, lives for the weekends, and is on the brink of achieving his first real relationship with his roommate, Key. As the temperature continues to climb, Maggie, Ed, and Phil will have to confront their shared past, their current desires, and limits of their future lives together before the weekend is over. This is sounding complicated. This is sounding exciting. Like, I love the idea of the temperature rising and then also all of these tensions rising. Like, that's classic, but I love that. Like, this sounds so up my alley. I'm so excited to get into it. I'm about to start chapter 5, and you know how when you read a book, you sometimes get like so many character names and you just can't keep them all straight? That's kind of what's happening to me right now. Like, I have the main characters, and then I have some of their friends, and then I have some of their childhood friends, and then I have like their mom's names, and then I have their mom's husband's names, and then like the mom's childhood best friend. Like, I've just been getting so many names. There's a name of like a reporter that's on TV, and I just like don't know which names are actually important yet. Slash, sometimes you don't know if you need to like go back and reread because you're like, wait, am I supposed to have all of these straight by now, or can I just like push forward? And I think this is a situation where I just need to push forward and like everything will become clear. But like right now, I kind of need a family tree. Whose mom is who? Like, whose dad is named what? I've highlighted my first thing in this book, okay? I'm happy to announce because I don't really tend to highlight that much when I read. I never annotate physical books, which I don't know why. Honestly, I should get into that, but I don't. When I read on my Kindle, I do highlight, which is honestly kind of pointless because I end up like returning them to Libby, or I just like never look at the annotations again. Like, it's kind of stupid. I don't know. I need to do it. I have it all backwards. I tend to highlight things that I think are really well written and speak to an emotion that I personally have experienced. And they write about that emotion in a way that I've just like never been able to put words to, which I feel like is why I don't highlight that often, because I'm not highlighting like, oh, this is like a important scene or like a plot point. Anyways, I've highlighted my first thing, which I would like to share with you guys. And I'm jealous of you, babe. I wouldn't mind getting out of London. Don't you love it here? I just feel like I'm always waiting for something to happen. Like one of these 8 million lives is going to collide with mine and knock me off my course towards something else, but they never do. Nothing ever happens. People keep their heads down. They mind their own business. People in London are too tired to be colliding with each other all the time. We're all too busy trying to pay rent. Well, yes, exactly. We're all too busy trying to survive. I feel like living in London is like being on the constant verge of an orgasm, but never being able to come. Do you know what I mean? It's not that you're not turned on. It's not that you're not having a lovely time, but something deep down inside your body won't allow for it to happen no matter how hard you try. And you, babe, are doing the right thing. You are not waiting for the city to transform you anymore. You're getting out while you can. You're transforming yourself. Maggie laughs. That's one way to say it. I've obviously never lived in London, but I've lived in Los Angeles. I feel like this also applies to New York. Being in a city where you just feel like things are happening, like big budget movies, big business deals, Broadway shows, huge bustling, just movers and shakers. Being in a city like that, like there's such an energy to it. You yourself, like when you're making progress and doing that stuff, like it's such a synergy, dare I say. But when that's not the case and you're feeling maybe a little bit more stagnant, things aren't happening for you, you're not seeing the progress that you want, you can kind of feel like, oh my God, everything is in motion around me, and why do I feel like I'm standing still? And to quote the book, okay, it doesn't mean that you're not turned on. It doesn't mean that you're not having a lovely time, but it is an emotion that you can experience in a city like that, where you just feel like everyone's in motion around you and you're kind of waiting for something to collide with you, because there's cities where things happen. So sometimes you're like, here I am, who's gonna collide with me? You know what I mean? I just kind of related to that, and I also really like the way it was written and like relating it to sex. Like I just think it was kind of funny. Since moving out of Los Angeles and being in Atlanta, I definitely have more of a perspective on that specific emotion. I knew that emotion while I was living there. Like, you know that you're in a city where things happen, but I feel like since leaving there, like I just don't experience that emotion at all in the same way. And one's not right, one's not wrong, but it's just an interesting feeling that you get in one city versus the other. This quote is also making me think of like one of my favorite scenes from Girls on HBO. It's towards the end. It's like the third to last episode. Spoiler alert. Hannah ends up moving out of New York City because she's pregnant, very similar to our protagonist in this book. She tells Elijah that she's moving out, she's going upstate, she's gonna go raise this baby, and Elijah gets really upset with her because he's like, no.
We agreed to live here and suffer and be miserable in this godforsaken rat hole together. You can't give up on that.
Because it's the greatest city in the world, and like we will struggle and just go through all of this in hopes that something big will happen to us, in hopes that the city will transform us. And then Hannah makes the decision to leave New York City, therefore transforming herself and going and being a mom, which New York City is different from London and LA. Like New York City is a world of its own, but when people decide to leave those cities, I left it. I mean, a lot of people, most people do end up leaving those cities at some point. It's just an interesting feeling. Maybe someone out there can understand, and I'm sure a bunch of people are going to read into everything I'm saying. Tonight we're making beef stew, which is one of my favorite recipes that we make. I mean, you guys have seen it a billion times, but every single time I eat it, I feel like I'm just like living in Scotland, like hundreds of years ago, just in my sweater. Just, is that making sense at all? I don't know, but that's how I feel. Like the movie Banshees of Inisherin. If you guys have seen that movie, like that's what I picture when I eat the beef stew. Crazy movie too. If you haven't seen that, I would recommend. It's an interesting one, but it's good. It's also very gorgeous where they film it all. Anyways, I'm gonna go. wearing my favorite winter pajamas. We've broken out the snowflakes. If you hear clanking in the background, it's because I'm washing clothes and my overalls, all of the metal just like hits everywhere inside the dryer, so forgive me. I'm 50% of the way through this book, and before starting this book on Goodreads, like in the description of this book, it talks about how this book is for lovers of Sally Rooney, which entirely, like, yes, like this is giving Sally Rooney vibes, just the whole aura of like the characters and the world. It's also Irish lit fic. But then I scrolled further down, and one of the top reviews, it's someone giving this book 5 stars, and they talk about that. They're like, wow, you had me at like for lovers for Sally Rooney, like that is what I wanted. Like this book has a miscommunication trope, and so that's what I was anticipating, like a miscommunication trope. But I feel like I need to set the record straight, okay, because this book does not have a miscommunication trope. Like there's no communication at all. Like you have to have some form of communication for it to be a miscommunication trope. This book is like a secrets trope, or a white lie trope, or like a withholding truths trope. They're not sharing information at all. Like I feel like in Normal People by Sally Rooney, like it's a miscommunication because someone says something and then someone else takes it the wrong way. Like they're not saying anything, so no one can take anything any sort of way. I think I'm gonna go with withholding information trope, because you know people say that where they're like, well, is it lying if I just like withheld the information? Like I didn't say anything, I didn't say a lie, I didn't say the truth, like I just didn't say anything at all. Like this book is a withholding information trope. It's just a lot of like people not sharing things to other important people in their life, like the 2 main characters being the most obvious one. We literally learned about that in the synopsis. Like the main guy character is not telling Maggie about his sexuality, his past, about like hooking up with men, and maybe he's still interested. And so that's the main secret that we're kind of following and like seeing how that unravels. But then there's this whole web of characters, and slowly but surely we're learning that like everyone kind of has like something they haven't shared about themselves. Some of them being things that like they don't necessarily like have to share, but some of them are kind of like, oh my God, like wow, this thing about yourself that like this other person doesn't know. It's just a whole web of like secrets and withholding truths. I also wanted to read you guys something I highlighted at 36%. This is from the POV of Maggie, the main character, the one who's pregnant. She has laughed at babies and with them too. She has waved goodbye to babies. She has caught air kisses blown by pudgy fingers. She has placed the air kisses so delicately in her pocket for safekeeping, and then boarding the bus back towards her life, thought, why do I feel like crying? There was nothing like a baby to make you doubt every decision you've ever made. What if she reached 40, 50, surveyed her life, and said, no, this isn't mine. This life has nothing to do with me. My life is over there with a baby, but now it's too late to get to it. I love the way that that's written. I love the emotion it's exploring. Maggie in the book is 30. I'm 29, and I feel like as you enter your 30s, live in your 30s, the decision to have or to not have children becomes very real. Even if you've always known that you've wanted to have kids when you were younger, early 20s, like it's completely different. I feel like I just look at kids so differently now at my age than I ever have. She's pregnant, I'm not pregnant, so like she's experiencing it in a different way, but I just feel like everything to do with kids becomes so much heavier. And me saying that doesn't mean that you can't have kids later on in life. Like obviously you can have kids like well into your 40s. My aunt had 2 children in her 40s. That's not what I'm saying. I just feel like that whole topic starts to get very real once you enter your 30s, because it feels like society, biology, like the clock starts ticking. And also just like hospitals. I don't know if a lot of people knew this, but after the age of 35 is when a pregnancy is considered a geriatric pregnancy, which is wild. But once you hit 35, it is considered a geriatric pregnancy, like a high-risk pregnancy. I'm finding out that geriatric pregnancy is an outdated term, which it should be, because like I literally hate that phrase. Now it's called advanced maternal age, but it's still 35. Just like feels far too young. This book is covering a lot of different topics, but I really love the POV of Maggie because I feel like she's the closest to my age. She's realizing like the gravity of like having a child, not having a child. Again, she's pregnant, I'm not pregnant, but I just feel like in the past year, really because my sister had her baby and also because I am about to be 30, like I just feel like that's a topic that's more and more on my mind. And I just feel so hard, like the interacting with a baby and walking away, and why do I feel like crying? Caught air kisses blown by pudgy fingers, like I finished Evenings and Weekends and I gave it 4 stars on Goodreads, but honestly, like make it 4.5. I don't care. Like this book was so good. Very up my alley in terms of book taste, just like the way it's written, the whole atmosphere. But honestly, it's a little bit different in terms of all of the different POVs. I feel like a book in this genre of Irish lit fic, Sally Rooney vibes, I feel like I typically prefer one female protagonist, her POV, her talking about all of her emotions, but switching all of the different POVs in this book and getting like so many different characters and being inside their head, I actually really really enjoyed because they're all going through different things. Like you're inside the head of a girl who's pregnant. You're inside the head of like a guy who doesn't know his sexuality. You're inside the head of a mom who's talking about growing up in Ireland. Like you just have so many different POVs with different walks of life, and it just made it really interesting. It's a book about identity and the choices that you make in life, and it's honestly just like waiting for shit to hit the fan. I loved it because it's in the genre that I love, but it's different from so many books in that genre because you're feeling like really anxious the whole time. Like you're waiting for all of these things to come to the surface, which really kept me keep reading because I was like, okay, wait, maybe next chapter this person will find out this thing. I enjoyed it the entire time, but when I became like obsessed at one point, probably like around 60% or something, like 2/3 of the way through this book, the author gives us the POV of the reporter, which is the first chapter of the book. They talk about how this whale washed up in this river and how it's, all of these reporters are out there and they're wondering like what to do with this whale, like it's struggling, blah, blah, blah. And they talk about this reporter that the public is obsessed with, like on social media. They're talking about how she looks like Princess Diana. They're giving her this whole backstory, just like very much a moment going viral about this reporter. And so you hear about this news report the entire book, like it's woven throughout the entire book, like very much in the background, but you hear about this whale, you hear about this reporter. And then like 60% into this book, the author gives us the POV of the reporter. When I read that chapter, I was like, Asheen McKenna is hilarious. Like that's just comedy gold. Like how amazing to go this entire book with this thing being in the background. And then you give us the reporter's POV. Like I was obsessed. All this to say, I really enjoyed the book, highly recommend. And our next book, I've actually already started it. We are reading Wild Dark Shore. I first heard about this book when Taylor was in town. She mentioned it when we were at Acapella Books, I think. And she was like, oh, have you read Wild Dark Shore? And I was like, oh no, I haven't heard about that. Like, let me look up the cover. And I didn't recognize the cover. It was just kind of like a passing comment. Didn't think too much about it. But then I was on Goodreads a couple of days ago and it popped up somewhere on Goodreads. And I was like, oh, that's the book that Taylor mentioned. So I clicked on it and on Goodreads, Taylor gave it 5 stars. It's pretty highly rated on Goodreads amongst a lot of people. And I read the description and I don't know, I was just like, I want to read that. Like that sounds so interesting to me. I'm about like 15 or 20% into the book. I can't remember. I'm also reading this one on my Kindle, which I do need to read some physical books, but maybe we'll do that for the next book. It's about this family. They live on a remote island. It's off the coast of Antarctica, like between Australia and Antarctica. It's called Shearwater. I did look it up. I was risking getting spoilers, but it's a fictional island, but this family lives there. It's a dad and his 3 kids. He has 2 boys and 1 girl. They're the only people that live there. It used to be home to an entire community of researchers that I guess studied the animals and the water and the land. And it's also home to the world's largest seed bank, which is a warehouse of all of these different seeds in the event that certain plants go extinct / some of the seeds, I think the plants are already extinct. The book very much feels like it's set in the future. I don't think it says a year, but it almost feels like the world is not ending, but it's feeling like climate change has really taken over. The world is very wary about where things are going. And so they have all of these seeds stored in the event that they need them. The sea is rising. And so this family is actually about to be taken back to the mainland pretty soon. Like a boat is coming for them in like 7 weeks or so. And so they're kind of wrapping up loose ends. At the very beginning of the book, this woman washes ashore. Okay, imagine you're completely isolated with your family and this random woman washes ashore. They nurse her back to health, but they're both very weary of each other. Like the family is wondering, why are you here? Why were you on a boat out this way? Like what was your mission? Because no one comes out here. And then the woman, you can tell, is there for a reason, which you do discover why she's there. And so they're kind of these people that are like in isolation and they're getting to know each other. They're becoming friends. They nurse her back to health, but they're also very suspicious of each other. These first 2 books are kind of similar, okay? A lot of secrets, a lot of people just not being honest with each other. I'm in the process of uncovering exactly why she's there, exactly like what this family is up to. Like there's just a lot of suspicion all around, but so far my favorite thing about it, it's so interesting because it's so isolated and you have these 3 kids that are living unlike any other kid in the world. And so it's just very interesting to see how they go about their lives. The animals on the island, the water is like very descriptive. And so I'm just really enjoying learning about this island. Thanksgiving is coming up. I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish this book before we leave town, but we're going to keep on reading. Last night I finished Wild Dark Shore. I'm in Alabama now, by the way. I'm in my boyfriend's childhood bedroom. But I finished it last night. I gave it 4 stars on Goodreads. I honestly really enjoyed this book. I think I enjoyed like the first half, the first 2/3, significantly more than like the last half or the last third. I think there was a lull around like 60% to 80%. It just kind of like the momentum really slowed down. And then once we found everything out and everything started to unravel, like it was really interesting. Like I didn't see any of it coming. I think the first initial piece of like shocking information I would have never guessed. Everything after that, I wouldn't have guessed any of that either, but it felt like a lot of exposition, which I feel like this is an issue in a lot of like thriller and mystery books where you're on your toes the whole time, you're guessing, and then you find out what's going on, but everything is just kind of like, okay, well, this is everything that was happening that you had no clue, and like, let's explain it in 10 pages. Like everything is wrapped up really fast, and I felt like that happened with this book. I don't know how you strike that balance between like keeping someone on their toes, but not having this like this really hasty explanation of like everything that you didn't know the whole time. At the end of the book, they actually had a section where they talked about the real island that this fictional island was based off of. So there is a real island that's kind of similar to this one. It looks incredible, and the author went there with her husband and her like 16-month-old child. Incredible. Like researchers live there. There's like crowds of penguins. That's what I was doing last night after I finished the book. I was just like laying in bed in the dark, like looking at all these photos of like penguins and seals and stuff, and it made me realize I need to read more books that have that sort of descriptive nature kind of writing style, because my favorite vacations are like when we've gone to Yellowstone or the Grand Tetons or Alaska. Like I would love to go to this island. Like I need to read more books that describe the setting and like the nature and the elements. Like there is something about that I really like. Kristen Hanna, The Great Alone, I bet it does that. That's something I should look into. I'm back from Thanksgiving. It is December. Honestly, Thanksgiving is far too close to December this year. Like I just feel like it was Thanksgiving, Christmas, whether you like it or not. My third and final book for this reading vlog is going to be The Bright Years by Sarah DeMoff. This is a very Taylor Tippett reading vlog because I already talked about how she mentioned Wild Dark Shore when she was in Atlanta. And then this book I bought at that bookstore after she mentioned Wild Dark Shore. This is like one of her favorite books. My plan is to see if I can read this book before I go to bed tonight. Okay, it's like 6 p.m. You wouldn't know that because the sun's already set. I think it's like literally, what time is it? 6:09. It's about 300 pages. I feel like I can do it. We have a couple. Their names are Ryan and Lily. They are very in love, recently married, and they are new parents to a baby girl named Georgette. Lillian has a son that she hasn't told Ryan about. Oh my God, what is with my book picks? Like every single book I've picked in this video, everybody is keeping something from someone. Like what? Why is that happening? I don't know. Anyways, Lillian has a son that she hasn't told Ryan about. Ryan has an alcohol addiction he hasn't told Lillian about. What is happening with this theme? Secrets everywhere. Why everybody is keeping secrets. Georgette comes of age watching their marriage rise and fall. When a shocking blow scatters their fragile trio, Georgette tries to distance herself from reminders of her parents. Years later, Lillian's son comes searching for his birth family, so Georgette must return to her roots, unearth her family's history, and decide whether she can open up to love for them. Told from 3 intimate viewpoints. Okay, all of these books, we all have secrets, we all have different POVs. I don't know if I mentioned that with Wild Dark Shore, but every single chapter was a different POV. I'm not going to title this video this, but it could easily be something about that. I read books where everyone kept a secret, and I also got all of the different POVs of those people. I mean, it's a working title, and I'm not going to use it. This has been a complete coincidence. There's something in the air. What the hell? Literally, what the hell? The most jarring, like, oh, where are we gonna go from here? I don't even know. I'm feeling sick. It's midnight here in Atlanta. I have been reading this for the past 6 hours straight. I have finished it and I cried several times as we started getting closer and closer to the end. Like the tears were really just pouring out. It took so many turns that I wasn't expecting. Like I don't know what I was really expecting, but I wasn't expecting this. This book covers a lot of ground, which I've told you guys many times. Like I love a book that just spans multiple decades. Like the first chapter is 1958, and then I think we go all the way to 2019. So you cover a lot of ground in this book, multiple generations, talks about a lot of different family members. Love that. Love this reach, but my critique is that I think this book could have been longer, okay? For the amount of ground it's covering, for the amount of characters that we got to see and their development, I think a lot of the stuff happened very quickly, even though it was very, very moving. I think that this book really could have been 400 pages. At times, I felt like we were really moving through things very fast, which honestly, for me, reading this evening, like, is exactly what I needed. I needed a book that was under 300 pages, really fast paced. It was exactly what I needed tonight, so like, I'm not really complaining. Honestly, she was probably doing us a favor making this under 300 pages because she knew we couldn't handle more than that. You guys heard the synopsis for this book, but it's so much more than that. It's so much more than a man experiencing alcoholism. It's so much more than a woman who has a son she hasn't told that man about. It grows in ways you just won't even expect. And you know I'm about to read you a quote that made me cry. I do not, as it turns out, have a monopoly on pain. It's not some secret knowledge of mine. These people have heard the stats too, have felt the stats. They know it hurts whether promises are broken or kept. They make them anyway. I'm the one left out of a secret, and for the first time, I won in. Which you guys don't even know the context of this, like who's speaking, what's happened. But this book is really just about like the weight of living. Choosing to have people in your life, love people, and just knowing, like, here's the thing about love. Like, it is really the most vulnerable, wonderful, but it is really one of the most devastating things. Loving someone is knowing that you might not always have them and choosing to do it anyway. Like, they know it hurts whether promises are broken or kept. They make them anyway. You choose to love and care about people anyway, knowing the risk that you're taking. I don't know if there's any distance where family makes sense. All I know is that a man can be sorry from any height or depth, and he had better say it while he can. So many good quotes like that in this book about family and love, forgiveness and mistakes, and just the weight of living. I don't know how, like, I feel like that's a good way to sum it up. The weight of living and the relationships in your life. I really can't believe this reading vlog. We had 3 books and all of them were 4 stars. Every single one. Like, when does that happen? 3 books in a row and all 4 stars. Like, I recommend every single book in this video. Legendary streak. Since it's about midnight, I am going to go to bed, but thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you made it to this point, that's literally so sweet of you. And thank you again to Book of the Month for sponsoring this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed this one. You can subscribe to me on here. You can follow me on all of my socials everywhere else. And I think with that, this is goodbye. I think now I'm at 39 out of 50 books. I'm gonna change my reading goal to 40 or 45. If you see me doing that on Goodreads, no you didn't.